Howdy y'all, this is Dwight and welcome back to my channel. Well, we are getting towards the end of March and we got some exciting things happening inside the greenhouse there over my shoulder. So I thought I'd do you a little bit of tour and show what I've gotten into this spring and how things are looking. As we walk in here, we'll start on the right side here. This here is a Rose of Sharon I got last year. It has yet to bud out, but so far I haven't seen any of the Rose of Sharons bud out yet. And in these two containers, I have some black pine and cherry blossom seeds. I have yet to see anything come of that, so fingers crossed something will happen before too much longer. There's little forsythia, or as I like to call, Easter bush cutting. That's the one that put off some blooms for me this spring. And here's my other Easter bush. It hasn't bloomed, which I give it a pretty good trim late winter, but it has sprouted out nice. This is my little boxwood cutting. It seems to be doing pretty good. This here is my eastern red cedar. Late winter I give it a hard prune, so time will tell to see how this responds. And this right here is an azalea cutting that I just shoved down in the dirt. So far got some little green leaves coming out, and right there's a little bit more, so I'm hopeful that will take, because I actually kind of like the base of it there. Okay, here is my garden oak, as I like to call it, and as we can see, I lopped the top of it off because where those two branches was coming out had a big ball in the trunk area there, and I did not like it. But we have started to get a little sprout to come out the top here, and there are buds around the rim, so I am quite hopeful that it will sprout out as the oaks start coming out, because the oaks have not started coming out yet this spring. And there's just a random thing of cuttings that may or may not do anything. Now, one thing I thought I would show is I got a line of milk jugs here, and basically I've cut them in half and I've left where the handle is attached. So basically about an inch of material there. Got some potting soil, and these are seeds for the garden. And basically you damp the soil down, and you can tape it, or I just slipped the jug inside of itself, and it creates a little bit of a greenhouse effect. And we look, yeah, see, we can see some moisture on the inside of these, and that has actually did pretty well to sprout seeds. Again, those are for garden, but depending on how my little tree seeds do, I might try to use this method next year and see how that does, because for the garden that has seemed to work pretty well. Okay, now something I have been very pleased with is my Japanese maple here. It has sprouted out this spring and has really did surprisingly well, so I'm quite happy. We got some really long extensions going off here on the top and off the branches. I did wire a couple of the stouter branches here because they was just going straight up to get them to kind of fan out, but it has extended out very nicely, and I am quite pleased with how it's came out this spring, because last year it was sulking pretty good, I guess we should say. So I am quite hopeful that there is healthy and doing well now, and I will have to see how I want to proceed with this tree going forward, but at least I am pleased that it is seems to be healthy. So that for me is very exciting, even though it just looks like a random bushy tree at the moment. Now, down here, this maple stump that I dug up this late winter, I have been very excited to see some buds come along the bottom of the stump. Of course, I'm not going to leave those, but up here on the trunk we have some good bulges. We can see right there's a little small bud peeking out, and come around on this other side we have another really good bulge. Looks like something's going to be coming out of that. And down here is a nice bulge, and of course we got all kind of little things coming along the bottom of the stump, but of course I'm not going to let them sprout out, but I want them bulges to hopefully sprout out. So I am quite excited. That is just a regular maple that is indigenous to my area. Of course, I did a couple videos back showing that, and so far it looks like it is going to sprout out. So I'm very excited for that. Here's a little trident maple that I put over a rock. It's got a little bit of a sprout, and if we can see, it has a bud on the other side. I hope this is going to do well, because that little sprout came out and it stayed like that for almost a week now. So I'm hoping that it will continue to come out. Hopefully I didn't kill it by trying to do the root over rock too soon for it. So time will tell how that will do for me. This here's an azalea, a little small azalea stump that I've gotten up. Of course, I lopped it off and trimmed it back. So I'm hoping to see some buds come out of that fairly soon. Again, fingers crossed, see how that goes. Now right here's my two little oak saplings that came up from seed last year. Of course, I showed transplanting them with root over rock. And as we can see, plenty of buds, just not come out yet for oaks. Now I've got a couple more oak seeds for acorns right here that I've found on the ground that was sprouting. So I went ahead and got them and put them in a little bit of soil there to hopefully have a couple more oaks come up. Now here is another azalea. Now this one I got sooner than I did this one, and this one has started to bud out, and as we can see, I chopped it off as well. Of course, I left a couple of smaller branches, but this one looks like it's doing well. But it was coming off of a dead section of the bush, and it so happened to have two roots that was separate from the bush. So I was able to harvest that without disturbing the bush. But the deadwood part unfortunately broke off during that process. I was a little disappointed, but oh well. Now here is my cork bark elm. It has came out very nicely this spring. I have not did anything to it. Of course, when I got it, had been trimmed back when I received it, which was just fine. And as we can see, it is quite healthy and coming out nicely. All I did was just slip pot it into this bigger pot, because I want the roots to grow out and get nice and healthy, and hopefully for the whole tree itself to be able to grow and expand a little bit in a bigger pot. Now here is my Chinese elm that I had gotten, and I didn't do a video of it, but I did a repot on this and did a root over rock. And when I took it out of the pot, the dirt was up in this area, but it looked like they had cranked the roots around in a small ball and crammed it in that little pot. So this large root had a pretty big curve in it. So I'm attempting to root over rock with this as well, and I give it a real hard trim, and boy howdy has that thing sprouted out and came alive this spring. So I'm going to have to give it a trim again here at some point, because it is just sprouting out absolutely everywhere. And some of it, it's not in places that I'm going to want. But I am glad that that is coming out and is healthy, since I did the repot and of course took the dirt off all the roots. Now, as far as new harvests that I've gotten this spring, I have gotten quite a bit. Of course, I have a couple out here. Here's my beech. It ain't came out yet. And then my Chinese wisteria. It's just now starting to bud out, which is exciting. We'll start over here on the right. Now, these are just long whips. These are tulip bushes, I believe is it's called. They're long, thin whips, but they was sprouts coming up away from the main bush. Here's two more whips. This is like a dual trunk, but so far only one side of it has came out. The other side apparently it's either dead or it's just late coming out. Of course, me getting it, that might have stunted it a little bit. Here's another one. This one's doing good. It's coming out. Now, to my understanding, these are very young sprouts from a Weigelia bush, which is kind of how I pronounce it. That's how my mom's pronounced it. So I'll follow along with that. It might be pronounced different. Here's another section that I was able to get. If I can get it up to where we can see it better. It has green buds coming out on the trunk, which is very exciting. This is another spot that has sprouted up from roots that came off of the main bush. So I was able to get some roots with it. And of course, I just topped it because it was like this one over here has a bunch of small branches at the top, but nothing much down low. Though we do have a sprout coming off here. This here's a Weigelia as well. Same thing. It was growing up away from the main bush, so I was able to pull up some of the root and trim it off the root system so it has some roots. And it seems to still be coming out nicely. I'm going to wait and let that get healthy to hopefully do some hard pruning for next year, because it's way too tall. And here is, I just call it a berry bush. It was a big, tall, gangly thing, and I topped it off this winter, and it is sprouting out with buds quite nicely. I'm pleased with that. And here is an azalea. This azalea was in a hedgerow, and all of this right here was died out because it was getting choked out, and it just had these two limbs with the leaves on it. So it seems to be doing okay. I got it late winter. I believe I might have showed this. So I'm going to be attempting some azalea as well. But this is everything that I have at the moment. Of course, a lot of pre-bonsai stuff. I don't have anything that would be considered a technical bonsai. Closest thing would probably be my Easter bush, because it is in a bonsai training pot. But of course, I am very new to this, so I don't have anything fancy as of yet. But I am getting quite the collection of the different varieties of some trees, and of course some of the bush stock. So hopefully over time I'll get some other things to actually look quite nice. I have to admit, I'm excited about that Chinese elm. If that turns out, that's going to look pretty cool. But anyways, I'll quit rambling on, and I do appreciate everyone that has stopped by and watched the video. Until next time, y'all take care.